Hey guys, what's up? It's Vampire Bride. For this first part of this video, I'm just gonna kind of go over figuring out where and how I want to put the parts because it isn't exactly a one-size-fits-all puzzle. It is a make it how you want it. There's fittings, there's tubing, there's bending the tubing. So I just kind of want to go over where and how I'm going to do that. This computer creates quite a bit of heat over here, so I am hoping that doing this will also kind of fix that. Okay, so not worried about this right now, of course. And not worried about the liquid right now, of course. Alright, fans, obviously they're going on the radiator. There's 3 for 3, just like on this one. So that's pretty much going to be the same. Not sure where and how I'm going to mount this because the back of this case is already pretty stuffed with cords. I'm not sure if the cable management can really fix that issue. And obviously it's not going to look that great front and center. We will have to figure out how to make it fit into the back with all of the cables. But that is going to be more of a last minute adjustment because plugging everything in is kind of at the end. So we're not as worried about this at the moment. Alright, so I have the radiator and it is a 360 just like this one. So I have the option to mount it either this way or this way, but I assume with how everything is laid out that it would make sense to go from the top as we're going to the CPU. Seems to be the quicker route, the easier route, less tubing and less bending and less work. That leaves a little bit more room from where the radiator is going to be mounted to where it goes back towards the CPU, but it still seems to be the best route. This is one of the things that I wanted to get into because I haven't actually unboxed the hardline bending kit. Just so I have an idea of the tools that I'm working with, I'm going to go ahead and check everything out. I like to be prepared as possible. Of course, I've seen plenty of videos and stuff on how to do the things, but actually doing them and holding the hardware in your hands is kind of a completely different story. So, we have the instructions and stuff. This little wiggly pipe goes inside of the pipes that are going to be bent so that they don't lose their shape. If you heat them up too much while they don't have something holding them as a circle, then they can lose their shape, and obviously that's going to cause problems when they go into the fitting or the reservoir or the CPU or whatever. We have a little grinder just to make sure that the ends of the piping is smooth, kind of like a pencil sharpener, except just making it flat instead of pointed. Because obviously, if it's flat, it's going to fit into a fitting better than if it has bumps. You don't want to have any bumps because then it's more likely to leak. Obviously, leaking with the electronics would be a disaster. This is the tool that lets you know to what degree you're bending your pipe. I will have to play around with this because I haven't really used one and I haven't bent the pipe yet. So I'm going to have to be careful learning how to bend the pipe and figuring out exactly how this one works. So I know you can move the brackets and I know it has the markings, but obviously actually doing it is a bigger process. It's a cute little saw, obviously to saw the pipe. But I like power tools. Don't give me no power tools with it. Come on. This is just a little straight bracket to kind of hold the tubing in place and let you be able to work how you need to. That should be it. Yeah. Okay, so that sums it up for the hardware kit that we need to have to bend the pipes with. Yes, baby. I see. She is very interested in all the goings-on of everything. Little Wawa, what else we got? Is there a bottle out of this? So I shouldn't really need this. It's kind of like a extra long funnel in order to get the liquid into the tubing and the reservoir. Having an open case like I do, I don't think I will need to get it in like a super tiny funnel. And she is just laying there like she just does not care what I do. All right, so this is going to be the thing, is finding out how to bend the tubing. But first I have to get the reservoir. So we're going to need the radiator, the tubing, and the reservoir to really figure out where. I mean, obviously the CPU is staying in place, although it is going to be, taken apart and cleaned while it's already out. I have lots of extra tubing. It's just figuring out the exact configuration I want it. I am one of those people that likes to plan ahead. I want every step of what I'm doing to be at least as laid out as I can. Obviously, there's always unknowns, especially with a newer project, but I like to know the plan at least. Okay, so not going to do anything with this right now. It's going to go, obviously, where the CPU block already is. That will take a little bit of messing with to make sure that it's secure, because that is very important with these. Another fan. Okay. So I haven't so much got into the fittings and how they work, and that is one of the reasons that I wanted to, well, do this video, but go through it whether I made a video or not. I wanted to know more about what I was getting into. I know that some of the screws are longer and some of them are a little bit shorter because some need to go all the way through the radiator and some are just plugging or holding the fans onto the radiator. And that box is alive. Spotlight on way to Wawa. These screws do seem to be slightly larger than these. And then we got our little bitty screws. Bring them all back in here because I am way too likely to lose some pieces. I still have 4 more small screws, not as small as the other ones. And a Wawa in a box. But she just cannot get enough of this project, apparently. Okay, I have there's 2 parts to this. I can take that off, yeah. The radiator will sit on this. That's why I was confused at one point because I didn't understand how the heck it was supposed to hold a radiator. There's plenty of space here, but I didn't know what it was but it has this bracket that you can put for it to set on or in. Okay, I'm gonna open up the reservoir because I know that there's at least another bracket. It probably got put with this when we unboxed it, but I just want to make sure. And then we can go over the kind of route that we're taking. So, looks like this can fit in this, yes? Okay, like that. And then the plug can go kind of back in here. With those, again, cable management is a problem with this one, so we will see how that one plays out. So the 2 face out, the 1 faces in, another cord here would go up in one of these slots here. It looks kind of cute. It's not too overly big. It's a good size, and it matches with the whole mostly white theme we have going on, other than the graphics card, but we didn't have a good option there, so we'll fix that later. Okay, what else is in the box for the reservoir? We have other brackets. There's 2 brackets that come inside of the reservoir kit. There's one for a 120mm fan and one for a 140mm fan. So you only actually have to use one for the build. They are going to be mounted like this, and then the reservoir gets mounted to it here. So it mounts it in place and protects everything from getting in the fan. Like, you don't want your cable or something messing with your fan. I kind of wish this would have been white or something because it would have matched the aesthetic better. All the other stuff on the side is mostly white. That kind of sucks, but it won't look too bad. I bought this one separate because it allows the thermal paste to be squished against the CPU better than with other brackets because of its shape and how it smushes. So I did buy that separate along with some good thermal paste, which I just put over here without even reading what it was. Thermalright TF7 thermal paste, and a tool we didn't need because we have too many tools, but that's cool. So that was in the box just now, but I didn't actually get it with this kit. I bought it separate. It just kind of fit in the box. So we got put in the box so that everything was put together. Just made sense, but anyway. Okay, and then I still have way extra tubing, and if I can't get the job done with this amount of tubing, then maybe the job's not for me. But that's not gonna happen. We're gonna get this done and figure out what we're doing. I don't think it is actually gonna take a whole lot of tubing. There's not that much with this case. So because we are just doing the CPU, we're not adding the GPU and all of that also. So we have where the reservoir is gonna sit here, and then the tubes are gonna have to go back up to the CPU. So we're gonna have to try to figure out how that can look nice. These ones up here are gonna be pretty plain and simple. They're gonna be similar to what they already are, except with these more clear tubing and the reservoir sending the liquid through it. So now the main thing is just learning how to do the tubing, but that's gonna be tomorrow as we kind of start actually going hands-on. And then, of course, they'll be taking apart the whole computer so that we can work on cable management and we can work on getting it cleaned up. And then, finally, putting it back together with all its new pieces. While I'm at it, this is a very heavy brick of a power supply. We have the MAG A1250GL PCIe 5. Why does it have to be weird names? Why can't it just be normal? Okay, but it's an MSI, and we have an 850 watt in there, and this one is a 1250 watt. So if this can get the job done, then again, I don't know what to tell you. So between me and this, we're gonna figure it out. And what I didn't quite go over because it had got pushed away into the empty sandbox because I was trying to keep the pieces together, were the brackets. And that was one of the big things that was kind of tripping me up is I wanted to see how everything fit together. So I was holding this earlier not knowing what exactly, but it's the coolant and temperature sensor, and it goes in the back. So the front is with the 2 holes. This one goes in the back. So it's going to go here. And keep an eye on the temperature. Then I also have 3 plugs. One is going to go here after the reservoir is full. One will go on the side, and then one will go on the side that this one is, because this one is going to go out to the CPU. So that's why there's 2 in the front, even though you're not, in this case, needing to run 2 tubes out of it. It is good that they gave you all the options. There will be some plugs. I got 3, which is exactly what I needed for that. Something that is really cool, but I'm actually not wanting to use is the 90. So it sounds easiest to be able to connect your tube and connect your tube so that you're not having to do the work to bend it, heating it up and all that. But I don't think for my project specifically that I want the look of all the hardware on it. I'm trying to go all tube and not use these. I do have the fittings. There's quite a few fittings. These will go into the water block and then allow the tubing to be put into the fitting. The same process is going to go on with the reservoir. It'll need this, but at least that's as little of the hardware as possible needed because the rest will be tubing. And these are the thumb screws needed for like the bottom of this and its installation. So I have a better idea of how the project's going to go, and I'm excited to get it started. Hope you guys join me for the rest of this journey as I attempt to get it put together.